Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Docu-Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, which can be familial, it can be intimate, it can be acquaintances, it can be enemies or frenemies or villains. But at the end of the day, hopefully mildly sweet. Hi.
Hi. So today we're talking Fallen Idols, Nick and Aaron Carter, season 1, episode 1, Teenage Dream. You guys can find this on Max if you were wondering about where to listen or watch this docu-series. It's on Max. Chris?
Yes, and we have a very special guest. You know her, you love her. She's actually my favorite person ever made. So please put your hands together for my cousin and yours, Monique Farah.
Hi, everybody. Thanks
Yay!
for having me.
Monique is a special, guest because A, I love her so much, but also B, because it's a holiday, it's Father's Day, so we're all already celebrating family shit. And then also, and our dads are brothers. And then also C, this documentary is about Nick Carter and Aaron Carter. The first episode is definitely Nick Carter focused. And Monique, just in life, two things to know. She was a fan of his growing up. And then later on in life, actually knew and hang out with him during the time frame of this documentary. So it's like having a direct source to so many things. A fandom of his, and also, I mean, not, you don't mean to call you it as a fan. I mean, you liked him though.
I was a huge fan of his. I was 13 thinking, if I lose my virginity to anyone, I hope it's Nick Carter. Straight up. That's the thought process that I had as a 13-year-old. I'm sure many did, which I'm sure he was very happy about looking at this documentary.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't know if he was happy about it or it just was the circumstance of which he had to get away from his what seems like tumultuous home life.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack. Like, to be honest, watching that, I was like, whoa, like every element is a lot deeper when you go further into it than what it seems to be, which was a little bit shocking to watch, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because you watched the whole thing.
I did watch the whole thing.
Yeah, so we're only talking about episode 1, and Chris and I have not watched the whole thing. So Monique is going to have a little bit more kind of backstory information that we're going to have at this one. So to start off this one, we have some like real
backstreet story. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, you go. You gotta take over now.
No, I just wanted to make a dumb pun. Let me make one dumb pun. This is by the way, like a lot of trauma, a lot of trigger. You know, this is essay, this is sexual assault. So definitely get on that. We're not trying to make light of it. So that's all that's happening here. But yeah, definitely backstreet.
We are going to do our best to make a little bit of light in this somewhere. I'm telling you, I am. So this is heavy. So again, like Chris said, trigger warning for essay, sexual assault, and whatnot. So we start off this episode with a little bit of cinematic to do. Okay, this is like whoever directed this, whoever did this, the art, whatever, whoever did this, decided that they were going to give us like a like 90s like unsolved mysteries beginning. There's no fog, but it feels like there could be,
a lot of vintage B-roll. Let's just put that out there.
A lot. And then no rights to any songs. Okay, no. So we're gonna sing the songs to you, except for that duet. I looked it up, I couldn't find it.
Oh.
We can play a little bit of that Dream On song because I at first
I remember Dream. You guys okay, anyway, sorry.
No, Dream On. No, Dream On is a song by Aerosmith. The group is called Dream, and the song is called Love You Not.
Yeah.
He loves me.
He loves you not.
No matter what. I loved it, honey. I know it kind of had like I know it.
Is it weird that like in the midst of all this Diddy stuff, we talk about a Diddy?
Yes.
And yet we're not. But here's the thing: it's because those girls look like normal
Aubrey
girls.
Days.
They do not look like Aubrey O'Day.
No, they don't.
Look like literally like the girl next door who's at church, the other girl who's down the hall.
Early Aubrey O'Day.
Mm-hmm. Like, Brittany Murphy. There's Brittany Murphy.
Early Brittany Murphy though.
Yeah.
Not Brittany post Clueless.
Yeah.
So not her dating Ashton Kutcher, like Brittany pre that. So anyways, it's just weird that they talk about how the label pushed them to like date Nick, but they never talk about like Diddy himself, which maybe they wanted to keep that separate. I don't know.
Also, the person who was in this interview, I don't know like when they filmed this. Maybe they filmed it 25 years ago when his name was still Puff Daddy. But she was definitely like, Puff Daddy reached out to me. And I was like, that fool's name hasn't been Puff Daddy in a minute. It is
Diddy.
Definitely Diddy, P. Diddy. Anyway, so we start off with getting introduced to a character. Her name is Melissa Schumann. And it says former pop star. And I was like, who? Former pop star in what pop group? Somewhere in Scandinavia? Like who is this Melissa Schumann? And so we then have her dad who starts talking about how she was an entertainer from the beginning. And I really feel like all of our dads could say that. Like all of our dads could say, we have been entertainers since the beginning. They all say that in all these documentaries.
Everyone.
It's like
with a video of someone dancing around as a 2-year-old. And you're like, really, motherfucker? That's what all 2-year-olds do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every 2-year-old does that. So that can't really be evidence of your stardom.
She loved to sing. I mean, so did I, like
yes.
Yeah, but Chris, you two are stars. So that's the reality though.
Oh,
your parents,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I did like to entertain at an early age, but you know what? So did you. And we put our younger cousins to work. We like, did you just side notice, this is gonna be like whatever. Like, did you make your little sister and little brother like sing in like shows that you put on for your parents? And so you would choreograph and be like, okay, Wasani, now you're gonna come out and take this part of the song, and then the big finish, like let's just push her out.
I'm gonna be honest, Wasani's not talented at all.
You don't need talent, you just need bodies.
Oh yeah, I wanted to be by myself. Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't in a girl group. Yeah, I wasn't in a girl group. I was Whitney Houston. Okay, I was by myself, solo dolo. Never was in a group. Never wanted to be in a group.
Even though she has 2 siblings, everybody.
Yeah, 2 siblings, and Sawai is too young for all that. No, but Wasani definitely knew about my Michael Jackson obsession and knew that I like learned choreography to stuff. So he's like, remember when you learned the dance?
Kimberly of you.
And I'm like, yeah. No. He definitely knew that I, Kimberly 100%.
You're just like her.
And so Dave Holmes is a face that we have been seeing on MTV for all of our lives. I was like, is that Kurt Loder? And then I was like, no, it's not. It's the other one. You know what I mean? Like
definitely the other old white guy. Yeah. There's 2 that look pretty much similar, and that's them.
Yeah.
So we get information that Puffy wanted to make a girl group, and the first single was "Love You." He loves you not, which is so quintessential before girl power. I really understood what girl power was, because now you cannot make a song about that's my man. Like, the Brandy and Monica, he's mine. Like that was an error when women were fighting each other. Now you just, I mean,
like
unless
actually fighting each other.
Unless you're in a rap battle, like unless you're like in a rap beef, like you cannot just be like hating on other women's,
Yeah. I was like Nicki Minaj does every fucking day. But yeah. You're right.
You're right.
She's like, I don't care if you got shot in the foot. Anyways, go ahead.
Let's give them a spin. This is what it sounds like.
Yeah, this was like the jam. And this is the only one I remember of them, to be honest with you.
I mean,
oh yeah, that's obviously their top song. Then this is just so you know, and this is me. This is the other one. It's very Britney.
Everything is very Britney to you. Like Britney produced her own shit.
But
she
this
didn't
came
produce
out
her own
before.
You're right. It's
I
also
do remember
maybe
this song. I do remember this song. A little. Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, God bless. Okay.
Yeah, you know.
I was never into them. I never knew. That one song I knew, but I don't know them as a group at all. I don't remember ever seeing one of their videos. I can't remember one of their names. I can barely remember her face. Every time they go back to her being young, I'm like, why did she change so much? She looks so different, she looks so different for being what feels like maybe like 15 years older, like usually 15 years isn't such a drastic change.
Well, dear girl, from 18 to having kids and getting married and shit, you look different. You're talking about like really early on, like not even fully developed body to like, and all of the women in this kind of look similar. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but all of their faces look very similar.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
At first, I thought maybe JoJo was from this group, but no, JoJo was not from this group. And like, you know, for whatever
JoJo
reason,
has more street cred, I think.
Black people love JoJo.
Yeah. We're not talking about Siwa,
Because
just to be clear. We're not talking about Siwa.
No, we're not, guys.
We're never talking about
We're never about
It's because JoJo can sing, right?
No, it's because she had an urban vibe to it
Yeah.
when she came out with her first 2 singles, even though she was like this little white girl, kind of like a Lindsay spinoff. Lindsay Lohan.
She couldn't sing. Like if we're like, oh, okay, her between Christina Aguilera, like Christina Aguilera could sing. Like she wasn't.
She did Weak. That they have you her version of Weak?
Oh, I've never heard
SWV.
Oh,
yeah, she does a version of that did really well.
Good for you, Mo.
Good for her.
I just want you to know that's another reason why people like her. Anyways,
we find out that they have to do weigh-ins and shit at 15. Like, here's the truth: at 15, and I know this is not everybody's story, but like I could not gain weight. I could not gain weight at that time. And all those girls look like they were probably along the same lines. They were already skinny. Like, what did they think they were going to do from 15 to 18? Just like, I don't know, grow up exponentially. Like it was felt weird that they were doing weigh-ins for someone so young.
This is heroin chic days though, when Kate Moss is like leading the bandwagon. So like, if you don't see your pelvic bones, girl, you got to get working out.
I just
like straight up, if your Frankie B's don't fit right below that crack, you can't have any ass at all. Like that's the vibe.
That wasn't my culture. That I wasn't in that, so I didn't understand that thing. Yeah,
you're so lucky.
So then there was this whole thing about, well, now that you guys are pop stars, somebody needs to get with another pop star because, 1 + 1 = 10. So they showed a bunch of, montages of Britney and Justin. They showed
J-Lo and Diddy.
I don't know why they didn't show Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah,
because they're not musicians.
Nick and Jessica, I think they showed.
Yeah, they did.
I think they just did musicians, probably.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so they talked about that. And that's so sad. I thought it was so organic. I didn't understand. I wanted it to be so organic. Their
Britney and Justin were organic because they actually knew each other when they were babies on.
And I thought Nick and Jessica were, from reading her book, like they were just on tour together and stuff.
See, even when if they're just suddenly on tour together, then I think it's set up. The only reason why I think it's Britney and Justin because they both auditioned to be on a show together, and then were babies, and then later on, after being pop stars, we're like, well, we've known each other since we've been babies, and goodbye.
Okay, so just so you guys know, we're 12 minutes in, and Chris has already mentioned Britney twice. So drink every time she mentions Britney.
Even though we don't talk about Britney in this documentary one time, really.
Not a time.
We see her. We see her.
We see her one time.
Yeah, and that was the time we just mentioned. So
yeah,
shouldn't be bringing.
So
I love
apparently the Backstreet Boys are the best-selling boy band of all time, which upsets me because they're the ones who kicked out Boyz II Men. But go ahead. Did you know they were the best-selling boy band of all time?
What do you mean they kicked out Boyz II Men?
Oh, so there's like a whole industry situation where Boyz II Men came out first, and they did so well as a boy band after like the 80s boy bands that happened. And because of that guy who reminds me of Dan Schneider, Lou Pearlman,
who is I got stuff about Lou.
I'm sure too. I said Dan Schneider. Lou Pearlman like wanted to create the white version. Yeah. And it kind of like Boyz II Men were doing this and growing because they crossed over.
Yeah.
From being black only to white audiences. Yeah. And then the Backstreet Boys just like and like kick them out of the there's back then there's only space for one. And so the Backstreet Boys came in and like zoomed in and took that over.
It's unfortunate because they have different demographics. Like, they felt older. Like, like those young boys were like supposed to get like,
like for 13-year-olds.
Yeah, with teeny bops.
Yeah, but that's only
they weren't going to sing.
Like they were grown ass men.
Backstreet Boys.
By the time we were in high school. I guess.
I'll make love to you. Could you imagine if like an early?
But Nick was 16 or 17.
He was the only young one.
Yeah,
like
he was.
Kevin and Brian were like grown 20s. Men when they first started.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't even think about that because they're
I know, why? Because I know this because I liked the older ones. I never was in love with Nick Carter. Yeah. So when this thing said that he was the one that everyone wanted, he was the one I never paid attention to. AJ was my top dog. Brian was next. Then
he sang. right? You liked AJ because he sang.
I just loved AJ because he was like this bad boy, and he was like, meow.
But I will say, like, teenagers, and I know a few girls who went to their concert.
What was he?
Yeah.
Like, he was very much like the guttural. Like, he looked like he was from the streets of New York. He was from Queens.
He looks like he would fuck the shit out of you.
But he was grown ass.
Looks like
he was grown ass.
He looks like he eats pussy so hard, you know.
Yeah.
But you know,
Happy Father's Day.
And then his whole poppy thing on Celebrity Drag Race. You know, I love that man. Anyways. So we then we talk about that and the boy band part of it, and then we go back to Nick and his troubled family from Jamestown, NY. And like all the thing I could think of is like, are they troubled or are they just WT? You know what I mean? Are they just like regular ass white trash?
Well, there's a lot of, I would say, abuse, like physical abuse and
in the household,
and like the parents are completely narcissistic, like that mom.
So
I would say, and that sort of staged mommy vibe of like, you now at 9 need to earn. So I would say that probably played a lot of roles in that situation, but it's definitely violence.
Oh, okay. The person that they get from his family is a cousin who either has a weak chin or doesn't have any teeth. I'm not sure, but he is like, look, we are cousins. Look at this picture of us in the bathtub together.
They only have 2 pictures of their whole entire childhood.
There's not a very strong resemblance. And once, you know, it's wild to think, you know, and he...
Not even a slight resemblance.
Yeah.
He describes him as his oldest cousin, and he has like 2 pictures, one of the family and one of him and Nick in a bathtub. He also describes a time in which Nick's parents were so either fucked up, and later on, Nick, in this episode, Nick will, from his book, be quoted as saying that his parents were alcoholics and stuff, and had left him with this guy John's family to be raised. And yeah, John got different kinds of genes, you know, the different kinds, you know, like got really either like strong dad genes and the mom was on the Nick Carter side, or we're not quite sure, you know, what happened there.
Nick was a natural performer, as we all are.
Sure.
And the family was facing money problems. And then we've got our good friend Skaachi, who is, every time we watch a documentary about kids actors or kid musicians or anything really that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s, this lovely red-lipped Indian young woman is always the journalist who has the tea. And I love her. It's like the 3rd time we've seen her, right?
Yeah, I think so. But also, how do you get that job? Is it in her like LinkedIn? Because that'd be a great cushy job to get. Talking head for docuseries. What were we going to say, Mo?
No, just her glasses are fire. That's it. The red line in the middle. I fucking love those. But continue. Yeah, I couldn't stop staring at it. But I guess she's a child historian, a child popular media historian.
Yeah,
she knows the history of children everywhere.
Children. She knows about them. Knows where they come from.
But once they turn 7, she's like, "Fuck them. I don't know. Fuck them older kids."
So Nick is the most popular. He's the youngest. He's the cute one. Then they bring on some Backstreet Boys super fans, and I said to myself,
ugh.
Why, Monique? Do they come back? Because
they just needed people to say fuck those bitches. That's why they bring the super fans back, because no one's going to get on here and say these women are lying. So you need crazy super fans who are still in love with them to come on and be like, fuck them. Nick wouldn't do that. And the only people you're going to get to do that are super fans who are still in love with a 13-year-old boy who's wet in a music video.
Was he 13?
He was 14, like when they shot. No. He was 13 when they started, 17 when they like hit. So maybe that music video was probably 16 or 17.
Quit playing games with my heart.
Yeah,
you know, there was a little formula I realized where it was like, and this will be the last time I bring it up, but Britney and him, they both did the exact same thing. Shut up. And the same thing is, the song means, Drake, what you want. The song is, you, the listener, are so great that you are fucking up and you are hurting the sexy pop star. And the song just sounds like it's just, please be right with me, please be with me, please be with me. And then the video is sex. And it happens with Quit Playing Games with My Heart, and it happens with Baby One More Time, where both are asking, pleading the listener to get, or the subject to get back together with them. Hit me, baby, one more. My loneliness is killing me. And then quit playing games with my heart. Please stop fucking with me and then be with me, my heart. Everything's the same. So then you're like, oh, it's such a sweet ballad, and then, or whatever, sweet song. And then you see the video, and the video is sex.
Well, they did that to all of the kids at that time, except for Mandy Moore, who wouldn't really do it, and Jessica Simpson, who was too religious. Until she did the Daisy Duke shit, and until she started hooking up with those guys, and then she changed. But prior to that, when she was doing her first few videos, I only know this from reading her memoir, she was so Christian. She came from a very gospel Christian heavy place. And so she was the last one to go sexy of all those girls. And Mandy just never did. But like Christina eventually did, obviously, with Dirty and all that other stuff. And then she just appropriated the shit out of
Jeannie was sexy. Jeannie felt like Christina Aguilera's version of like Fiona Apple's Criminal, where it was just like them withering around in different spaces, you know?
Who?
Okay.
Jeannie, I didn't see that in Jeannie. Jeannie was like cargo pants and like
to her dirty fucking phase of
because she was her own woman. Ooh, coming through. Okay.
We get to meet Bob Curacino, who is one of the first music producers for for the Backstreet Boys, and
I thought you were going to say Balboa Island.
You're right. I almost did. I wrote down BB, and I almost said Balboa because that's what I usually say. I'm sorry, but for Backstreet Boys' first hit ends up being again "Quit Playing Games with My Heart," and they say that Nick Carter is given the Michael Jackson-esque, like front younger boy role who was like not quite hit puberty yet and who gets to like kind of hit that higher key. And then we jump back to Melissa. So Melissa, Melissa has a boyfriend. We never know who this boyfriend is, but she gets those men, honey. She stays getting those men. So she has a boyfriend.
He was 16.
Good for her. Good for her. It's fine. I like Melissa a lot. I don't know her at all. Okay, so the record label wants her to, again, as we said, has a boyfriend. So they make her have an awkward conversation with Nick, and so she does, and it's just like whatever. She obviously is in love with this other guy, and Nick, however, obviously showcases his attraction to her, but it was just awkward, and the record label really wasn't excited for her since she didn't, get it with him. And then she leaves the group, and that's all we hear about that. I'm like, can I hear more about why you left the group? Okay.
Yeah.
Only because is it P. Diddy shit? Anyway, God bless. But then she goes right into acting. And then she's just like books her #1 gig, Love Don't Cost a Thing. Now, every time I hear that, I'm always like, the J-Lo song? But then,
well, that's like a remake.
I think of Julia Stiles dancing on a table.
Yeah, that's a remake. That's a remake of
Taming of the Shrew.
No, Love Don't Cost a Thing is a remake of Can't Buy Me Love with Patrick Dempsey.
Oh,
so they made that movie in the 80s.
About You is what you're thinking of.
Yes.
But that was Taming of the Shrew. Yeah. So then they remade it with Nick Cannon, which is like this dorky guy ends up like for money getting a cheerleader to fall for him, and then they end up really falling for each other, of course. Anyways.
Oh, is that Christina Milian in that?
Probably. That feels right.
Okay. I didn't watch it.
So,
did you guys watch The Hollow, though? Did you watch this B movie called The Hollow? I love scary movies. Never heard of this shit in my life.
No.
Yeah.
No, never heard of it. No, I did not. And yeah, so basically at the pop culture time in which this is happening, it's like early aughts now, and it is teeming with the burgeoning internet and gossip websites. But at this time, she's working on The Hollow. She got offered a role, and then she gets to know that attached to it is Nick Carter, who she had that awkward conversation with. At this time, Nick in the Backstreet Boys lore, I guess, and I should have said this, like, I wasn't really a big Backstreet Boy fan. I like some songs, like I like that Everybody song,
Yeah, I think that's the one that got everyone into them, was that song more than the first one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I liked NSYNC more, but like I think I don't remember who my favorite was, and I think that it probably was like JC's Sage or whatever.
Hold on one second. Sorry, Monique. Whenever you're shuffling around, put
Oh,
yourself on
sorry.
mute so we can't hear you.
Okay, great. Good to
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm just
Put
trying to get
yourself on
this
mute.
light. Okay, perfect.
So AJ, okay, so AJ, sorry, Adawa, was experiencing some difficulties early on.
Yeah. I was like, that's
Remember
why
that?
he's a
Remember
bad
that?
boy. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna take care of him. Like, when we get married, I'm gonna help him to not do drugs and alcohol.
Oh God. Well, we could go in therapy about why you would want to do that
Oh
all
yeah,
day.
I am a savior. Put my fucking cape on.
Both AJ and Dave Navarro, who both had similar vibes, like guys who had gone to rehab and like, party too hard, ate a lot of real food daily. Like both were like halfway vegan.
Who's Dave Navarro?
Do you remember that guy?
Remember married Carmen Electra? He has like the biggest face you've ever
He
seen.
has this, like the
Yeah.
goatee. Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
great.
He's a guitar player
So-
for someone. I can't remember who.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, AJ's going to rehab, so obviously this time Nick gets to go on the solo journey. And it's such an interesting journey, because it's like we've seen it now. Justin did it, Beyonce did it, and a lot of people did it really well. A lot of people did it mediocrely, and now it's gone. And a lot of people didn't do it at all, and here we are.
Yeah, like who knew he had a solo album? Did you?
Yeah, I did. I was in his
Okay.
house when he was playing it, and I remember being like, "Oh man, this ain't good." I don't know how. And I think it's weird when people play their own music in their house in front of guests. Period. I think that's odd.
Yeah,
Especially if you're a musician. It's like playing a movie that you're in the background. And I just remember thinking like, and I hear Justin was coming out with one, and I was like, "Oh, I feel like he might win. I feel like he might win."
Wait, so what year was that? What year was that?
Were
It
you
was
Santa
in, I
Monica?
want to say it was in, okay, so the time that I was in his orbit was like 2004 to like 2005 or 6. So I
Okay.
think his album probably dropped in 2004, and I think Justified came out in 2005. But double check that because I don't know.
Okay, so because AJ went into rehab, they had some downtime. So Nick put that solo album out, and then he then invites her, because they're working on the movie together, to his house to play video games. He's in his early 20s, she's 18. This is my nightmare. Like, I would go, but I would not have a good time. I would be only going because a Backstreet Boy had asked me to go to his house.
Yes.
Obviously, who wants to play video games?
Yeah. And so this is spring of 2003. And she gets into a car with him and his friend Tony, who Melissa says that he was bossing around. They go to a liquor store. Tony goes in and gets some liquor. So her and her friend Rachel, it's Melissa and Rachel, her and her friend are like gonna party at some, like they are there for the like hangout, the party. And it's just the four of them. They get into his apartment and they're listening to music, and then they start to show us all of this like really old equipment. Like they show us this like beat maker, they show this like what feels like the silver cassette player with the round knobs that everybody's parents had in their like console, with maybe the glass that you push the glass and it like clicks in and it bounces out. You know what I'm talking about? That magnetic music chest. And so this is where it gets horrible. So let me just get through this. Let me just say, and then we can move on to making fun of other things. So he calls her into the room, asks her to sit on his lap, or beckons her to sit on his lap. Then it happens, and we have them making out, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay, we're just making out." And she's uncomfortable, but she does it anyways, just because I think she's like wanting to hang out with him, and they work together on set, so I think to cause issues. He takes her into the bathroom. At this point, she's not interested in anything that happens after this. He eats her out. He tries to get her to do the same. Then they end up having sex. She says no several times, that she wants to wait for marriage because she's a Christian and all of this jazz. And he doesn't stop until he actually, I guess what I can only imagine, comes out of his high or drunken haze and says to her, and this is what she says, "Oh, you're not into this, aren't you?" And she says no. And then that's when he gets up off of her and she spends the night. The next morning, she gets out of there. And then he texts her, "Why did you make me do that?" And it's awkward from then on for her.
Yeah, it is. He had said when he put himself inside her, "It's all of me, baby," which was disgusting. I will say this: a couple questions for you, Monique. Did
Yeah.
you ever hang out with him in his place? And when you listened to his record, was it in the Santa Monica place? What was like? What was your experience?
No, it's the place where he lived with his fiance for a very short time, Kai. He had a house off Coldwater Canyon. And like at some point, his sister BJ moved in and Aaron moved in. So when I was hanging out with them, BJ was down here, Angel was down here, Aaron was down here. The only one who wasn't here was Leslie. So, and they were all at that Coldwater house, which was a 2-bedroom house off of Coldwater Canyon that was $2 or $3 million for being very small. Yeah.
Why did he hang out in the South Bay though? Or like, why was he like around?
Why was he in Manhattan Beach?
Yeah.
When I met him, it was the night him and Paris broke up for the first time, pre that whole like beating situation. So and this will show you the difference between someone with a developed prefrontal cortex and empathy for women and someone who's just a young idiot. So when I met him, obviously I'm like, oh my God, Nick Carter. And one of his friends had told me that he broke up with Paris because he called her to see where she was. And she said she was still at a shoot, but he was hiding in her bushes and watched her car pull up, watched her walk in her house, watched her walk back in her car, like talking to him on the phone and like leave. And so at the time I'm like hearing the story, I'm like, what a bitch, she's lying to him. But in my head, I'm like, what? In my mind now, I'm like, what a psycho. He's hiding in her fucking bushes, waiting for her to come home and catch her. So then they get in this huge fight. So when I meet him, he's wasted and he's on a tear to have sex with whoever to get over this breakup of the night. They get back together like the next day. And I want to say the beating thing happens like a month later.
Where were you guys? Like, where did you guys meet?
Do you remember? Okay, so there was a cowboy bar in Hermosa Beach. I forget what it was called, Einstein's or something. And it had like one of those things that you ride, a saddle that you ride, a bull, yeah, electronic bull. And he was there with Tara Reid's little sister, who I was good friends with because she was in our sorority at LMU. Very nice girl. I love her. Colleen Reid, she's amazing. And she just happened to be friends with them because Tara was friends with them. So she's like, hey, you want to come out? Nick Carter's here. And of course I was like, do I want to come out and hang out with Nick Carter?
Yes, I do.
21-year-old me. Yeah, like, of course I do. And so that's how I first met him. And then all of his friends were there and we all became ingratiated with his friends. So then for a year, he'd come down to Manhattan Beach to be at our apartment. So he would just like show up, like sometimes with a dancer. I think he thought I was a lesbian. Actually, now I know that he did. He thought I was bi because I think like he would bring these girls in and I thought I was interrupting their dates. And I didn't realize he was hoping that like I would be sleeping with them together. Does that make sense? So I would we'd be all at the beach, just 3 of us. And I'd be like, maybe I should go get like a drink and leave them alone. And then they thought I was just being weird. And I didn't realize like he thought that I would fuck both of them. Because I had a picture of 2 girls kissing on my door that somebody gave me in college because it was just a hot picture. And I wasn't even a lesbian. So like, I think he saw that and was like, oh, this girl's bi. So he would like.
Oh, that's crazy.
I didn't realize until years later that I was like, oh, he was trying to have a threesome because he'd be like, why are you being so weird? I'm like, why do you keep bringing dates over to my house?
Now I have a question. Was he inappropriate to you at all? Did he ever make you feel uncomfortable?
He never forced anything. And I never had the experience these girls had, but I was also not 17. I was like at least 22, which is not much different. And he tried to fuck everything in the perimeter. So it wasn't just me. It was like a numbers game.
Okay. Yeah.
Like he tried to hook up with my other friends that were there as well.
Your roommate? Did you ever try to hook up with your roommate?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever meet Tony? This Tony person? Do you know who Tony is?
I don't know why that, like when you said that, I'm like, I feel like there's a possibility of that. His friends were more in BJ's orbit, his younger sister. And so like, I knew a lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah. And BJ was, she beat the living shit out of this one girl who is very small. And I don't remember why, but like, so violence runs in the family. I'll say that.
Oh, Jesus.
Even though she was always very nice to me, I knew that she had done that to someone that was in the group.
Eesh. So Melissa then is upset about this. She talks to her friend Rachel, who we don't know where Rachel was throughout all of this.
Yeah, where is Rachel in this?
We don't know where Rachel was throughout all of this.
Hooking up with Tony. I mean, I'm assuming.
Okay, well, they're
Or
on the
not.
floor. They said they were on the floor, but why hasn't Rachel come forward in this and acknowledged it? Maybe she could say she didn't know. Because Tony says I was on the floor with her friend. It never happened. But where's Rachel saying that?
Yeah. So everybody, basically Melissa tells Rachel's mother, and Rachel's mother told her that it was rape. And then she tells her father. Her father's pissed and says that he wants to do something about it, but he respected his daughter's wishes. And then she tells her manager, and her manager is like, listen, you don't have the power that he does, so I wouldn't if I were you. But also I just can't imagine a scenario in which my father does not disobey my orders and still go and beat this man up. So yeah.
Yes. I think my dad would kill this person, I don't know.
The legal ramifications, though, I mean, it's definitely the late 90s, early 2000s. It's not Me Too. Nothing would happen.
Right.
Nothing would happen to Nick, but everything would happen to your dad's.
Which is why you need street justice.
Oh, I mean, I'm into vigilante justice.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, it's not in Monica, it's not that far from Compton. So like I could get my family over there lickety split. Not even, I mean, they don't even have to say this is for Wahima. Like they just need to show up. I can give them the address, show up at that man's house, wait for me in the bushes, since he likes to wait for people in the bushes, and fuck his ass up. So Nick ends up doing a duet, or like she ends up. Okay, he gets with Paris Hilton. There's all this drama with him and Paris Hilton. I didn't even know that he had physically abused her. I did not know that happened at all. It's just like such a wild time, the early aughts. And you know what, I want to say this, and I know I've said this before, is that I'm glad that this has happened. This has come out so that these young girls understand what sexual assault is, because at the time, I would not have known. Because the way that I was taught to keep yourself safe is to not put yourself in dangerous situations, that I would not have known that if someone did something to me, regardless if I wanted it or not, unless I was at the grocery store and it happened to me, any other circumstances where I had put myself in a situation, like going home with a guy, like I would not. And so sometimes I think about it and I'm like, have I been assaulted? Are there situations that things have happened to me and I didn't really want to do it, but I did it anyway in order to, feel cool or to not be whatever? And then I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I just am like, that could have easily been me because I was not aware that you can say no at any point and that means no.
Yeah. And imagine he's like one of the most famous people in the world. Yeah. And what that would do to you to come out to have to say something.
Yeah.
Like, so I also understand why her dad didn't, even though my dad would want to beat his ass too, because you're going against, like when they were on TRL, the streets were packed in Times Square.
Yeah.
Like their bus was being everywhere they went, like they couldn't move. So this wasn't normal stardom.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So she then gets an opportunity to kind of get back into singing. And I really wanted to hear her voice. This decision to go solo, I wanted to give me a bar. Give me a couple of notes, ma'am. I'll be the judge of that, anyways. No, but
American Idol.
Yeah. So she goes into do that, and then she signed with this guy named Kenneth Greer. He comes back to her and he's like, hey, we've got this duet with Nick. And she's like, do I have to see him? And he knew something was up with that. But that story is a little muddled. But anyway, so she says that he was like, he already pre-recorded it. It's good. And then she gets ready to do her showcase. And then she's like, he comes back to her after already knowing that she didn't want to be in the same room with Nick. Kenneth then says to her, well, Nick is going to come to your showcase and, he's going to help you out, I guess. So Nick attends the showcase, and Kenneth, who is supposed to be her manager, her person that she signed with, comes back to her and tells her that she is vocally weak. And I thought that was rude as fuck.
It is rude. It like at some point, if you've already been in a group and you've already had like so much success and you already have a manager, doesn't your manager know that like basics are are already checked off. Like, I don't know. Like, if you are a manager of a singer, I'm assuming the first thing that you do, make sure the vocals are on point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
In that time period, no.
that's
Hello,
kind of salted.
Brittany.
Well,
Sorry
don't
to
say that
bring
about
her
Chris.
up.
Chris
Sorry.
thinks Brittany can sing. Chris?
Well, Wah thinks that J-Lo can sing.
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh.
No. Monique, she is a bold-faced liar.
Yeah, she's a bold-faced liar.
She knows that I don't think that. She knows that I laughed publicly at Jennifer Lopez.
You guys have all heard that leaked singing audio. Everybody has.
I don't need to hear it. I've heard her live, and she sang a song that she shouldn't have sung, and I started to laugh audibly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to have a good voice, but I felt like the way she described it, it almost felt like it was a setup. And so there's two different things. You could believe that this guy, if he was friends with Nick, he could set her up, but also you could just believe that they were like, bring in Nick. So like this girl looks like she has any credibility whatsoever for this song. Yeah. And then the people are just like not into it.
Yeah.
We don't remember her for a reason.
Yeah.
She wasn't like Nicole Scherzinger of the Pussycat Dolls.
You're right. Yeah. What a star. What a star that
But I'm not saying I didn't say you're a bad singer. I'm not saying she's a bad singer because I haven't heard her sing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, but we have heard Nicole sing. And by the way, was just on London's West End stage in Sunset Boulevard.
Okay.
Anyway. Okay, just there's a little useless knowledge. Back in these like storytelling pop culture days, the way that they talk about the press talking about Paris is really, really actually sad. I don't remember it, but like saying that she was like a prude who didn't like sex, a drunken prude who didn't like sex. That's
what Nick said about her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But can you believe they even printed that? And the amount of attention they gave her getting beat was almost like making fun of her because it was during the Simple Life era where they just thought it doesn't matter, it's her.
And she's an heiress. Like that's the thing too. So no one was safe. No. Not even an heiress.
No.
But to me, I'm like, why didn't you just fucking sue him?
Because
you could take him down and be.
She's not trying to get money though from him. She's trying to get away from an abusive relationship. Because I remember at that time, his camp was kind of like Paris is crazy. Like anytime they wanted to like
discredit
any of his exes, whether it be Kaya, whether it be Paris, it was like, oh, they're fucking crazy.
I wonder if Paris would ever come out and talk about it now.
I need everyone, I want everyone to come out and talk.
She talked about the Provo, so why not?
Yeah. And our cousin went to Provo at the same time Cliffy, that Paris was there, and he used to send me letters talking about being in solitary confinement and that Paris was there and all the shit they used to do. That documentary, I think she did a great job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, okay.
So basically, going back to here, so Melissa, like this all happens, and after the guy's like, "You're vocally weak," which is fucking rude, and I don't know where Kenneth is now, but we should do some due diligence and find out who else he's like representing. She's like, "Fuck this fucking entertainment business. It's not for me. You shoot me up, spit me out. I'm done. I'm not going to act anymore. I'm not going to sing either in a group or solo. I'm fine."
Not even in church. Not even in church. No singing in church. Not even the shower. I'm not singing at all. Maybe I'll sing a lullaby. She'll do a lullaby to the baby.
She'll go to Ellis Island once or twice and really let loose. Vegas, 24-hour karaoke. So anyway, So basically, she gets married. Good for her. She's just, she's a dick magnet. I'm just kidding. But, I'm just going to make it light, horrible. Maybe I should just
like the third person she's ever dated. She met her husband right.
But she was just like, she's just so attractive. You know what I'm saying? Good for her. So basically.
Wow.
Basically, she sits on this the whole time. I hate you so much. She sits on this whole time. She's like, I'm never going to talk about this shit. Never talk about it. I'm just going to have a baby. I live my perfect life. I still have my dad. He's still very cool. We still get down. And suddenly the Weinstein thing blows up and the Me Too movement is happening. And she's on that Twitter, honey. And she writes a blog, whether it's on Tumblr or not. She doesn't make, she doesn't make it specific, but we don't know. Could have been a thought catalog. And she thinks about publishing it and she goes back and forth, and she doesn't know whether she can tell it to the world, but someone does. And that is her husband, right? Or does she just do it? Husband publishes her blog.
Yeah. So she writes it, she deletes it, she rewrites it. And then she's like, I can't do it. And then her husband's like, you should do it. And she's like, then you do it. And he's like, okay. And he goes, boop. He pushes enter. And it goes live, and she says that she was not prepared she goes to sleep, she wakes up, and
yeah. I mean, you see what happens when a Swiftie backlash comes? It's kind of a similar thing, I would assume.
He's so old by this time. I didn't really expect that many like older people to be like, but there's a lot of gross people out there. But like, she just went to bed and she said she woke up a few hours later, and at first it was good things and then it turned bad. One time I was in a hookah place and Justin Bieber walked in and I tweeted about it. I said, I'm smoking hookah right now. And Justin Bieber just walked in and I put my phone down and then I looked down and my phone had 100 notifications. And then my phone just went crazy. And it was because at the time Twitter people were just like searching his name and they were like, pick or didn't happen. And then they thought that hookah at the time meant weed. And so they were mad at me, like, don't you fucking dare say that Justin Bieber smokes weed. And I was like, that's absolutely not what I said. I'm on Ventura Boulevard and I'm smoking hookah on Ventura Boulevard in Sherman Oaks, and this motherfucker just came in is what I'm trying to say but I didn't take a picture.
Did you get Ellen backlash? No.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh, she just wants to be famous. Oh, I would have.
Well, true.
I would have complained too. I deserve it. So basically, I feel bad for. Obviously, I feel really horrible for Melissa, but I'm happy that her journey is that she got to like share her story. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to her next, nor do I know what happens in the trial. And obviously, the documentary has to do some sort of due diligence to show us the chyrons or the writings on the wall of like Nick saying this didn't happen or this is a consensual. If you want to see the documents that his people uploaded, go to the website. You can see what he said. That whatever it is. So
and they're quick to put a log line to say who does not agree with her. Like they'll always say like this person doesn't collaborate, that her ex-manager says she never told him about the sexual assault, said. So and it's not leading by any means, but the way that they do it, you're like, now I do question her a little bit sometimes just because of the way they present it.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder what's going to happen.
I don't question her story at all. P.S.
I don't know where we are in like the legal ramifications of what happened. I don't know if it's already been dealt with or no, actually probably not, because I think they said that things are still happening. That's why
they're probably getting all the women together, so it could be like a full case with enough.
What if Harris joined them?
Yeah, I mean, that would be nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine somebody saying that you're a drunken prude who doesn't like sex, as well as she's so uptight that the only time she could have sex is when she's drunk, not on drugs. And I'm like, that is so crass.
That's
like,
so crass.
It's just like, obviously that makes me think of there's other problems. It doesn't make me go, oh yeah, it's just a bitch.
She probably needs to do it to do whatever the fuck he wanted her to do, to be honest with you. Yeah. Is my assumption. And also they were all doing so much fucking blow. It's like not even funny. Yeah. So I wouldn't really think it's her. It's not just her.
Yeah.
Who's wasted and coked out. I mean, that was everybody.
They all were.
Everybody was. She just had better coke probably than everybody else.
I feel like it's so funny because at that time, people went out 4 nights a week. Like we knew all the hot spots. It was like, like Harry or it was just like, oh God, I was at Harry's. Remember the Hills had that place?
Ledoux.
Yeah. Like with the like.
Yeah. That's wallpaper.
Like. There were all the places in LA that everyone went to like 4 nights a week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. Pretty much. And then the weekends, no one would go out, that were like celebrities.
Oh, yeah, amateur hour. But Sunday through Thursday for sure.
Yeah. And now I feel like we don't talk about that as much. Like people, like maybe there's a couple of places people go like for dinner, but people don't go out clubbing like they used to in LA.
Oh no, the club died. Do you not know that? Like the club scene died, but I think it'll have a resurrection. I think electronic music did something to it. And now if we bring like hip hop and R&B back in the club, we can have the club again.
Or yay, Little John. He'll be back.
He is back, honey. Yeah. What? You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, well, what a journey we have. Do you have anything else to say, Monique, about either this documentary so far you've seen or your experience with Nick Carter or, I mean, I don't know.
Well, a lot of stuff is stuff that's coming up, but I will say, like, there is a pattern, like a Lou Pearlman pattern
Okay.
that could have started this or he could have been touched prior to that. I'm not saying Nick was molested, but it would be odd because I have other friends that were under Blue Perlman's management that talked about weird shit he would do at that time, like show all the boys porn and then set up a video camera in there so he could watch them watching porn.
No.
Or he would have all like, I had a friend who was in this group called Take 5 when he from like 15 to like 20 years old. And they were touring for a long time. And he said all the guys would be like sleeping in bed and like Lou would come in just boxer shorts on and play this like roll on them game. I forget what he called it. And he would just roll his fat fucking body over all of them and just a thin pair of boxer shorts. And he was like, yeah, it was weird. Like he never touched me, but he did weird things. So, and Nick was like his prime first guy ever. And I'm sure him and Aaron got fucked with. I'm sure of it because like why usually when people are sexualizing 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds, and I had friends who went to the Backstreet Boy concerts in high school and got picked out of the crowd to meet them backstage. So it's not that had been going on since we were in high school. So I just think that to sexualize young girls, usually you are sexualized at that age, but we can get into that later, but that's just my last tidbit on that. Well, but we can talk about something more positive. I don't want to end on that. I feel bad that that's the last part. Yeah, we can talk about how weird the cousin looks like.
Do you have any other like weird, like nuanced details of Nick in Paris time?
I started hanging out with him again after Paris and him officially broke up, before he got engaged again. And I would just say he just, I didn't see anything nuts. I think it's crazy that all these accusations are him forcing oral sex on people. I wonder what makes him do that. But I believe all these women.
Yeah.
I never saw anything that I can comment that was like that, though, at all.
Well, yeah. So you guys, we're going to continue to try to keep some levity and some brevity to these episodes, but there's 3 more episodes of Fallen Idols. And if you guys want to see the visuals of what you're listening to, please join us on patreon.com/DocuSweeties for $10 a month. You get the visuals of what you're listening to, plus live every first Monday of the month. So if you are at all interested in that content, please join us on patreon.com/DocuSweeties. But if you can't do that, Chris will tell you the free ways that you can support us. Chris?
Oh, yes. Just go ahead and follow us on all our social medias. We are at DocuSweeties on Instagram, at DocuSweeties on TikTok, at DocuSweeties1 on X. We have a Facebook group, the DocuSweeties Podcast Facebook group. We have a YouTube. Are you kidding me? Do that as well as give us a 5-star review. Tell us how great we are. We love you. We appreciate you. Do you. Also help us. Just kidding. Ha ha ha. Thank you. Also, we love having guests. And thank you so much, Monique, for being our guest. Will you just tell us where your social medias are and how people can follow you?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't prepared for this. Just follow me on Instagram or TikTok at the Mo Farah, MoeFarah.
All right, we'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.